We're recording, and so far so good. The Best of Investing radio show, host and producer Edward Brown. And let's see if we can split this, get the screen back to normal. And there we go. Okay, now Nam, we don't see you, so let's see here. Maybe I need to do that a little bit more. And I'll turn this here. Sorry about that. These are new on that. We still don't see. Maybe we can get you guys to scoot down just a little bit.
How's that?
I've got an eyebrow.
Is this one okay, or do you want to move?
Can you scoot down a little bit, and then we'll get Nam to scoot down a little bit. And there's his pretty face, barely, but there it is.
Oh, you go and get him in for the video. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right.
Okay.
All right, guys. And let's see.
I'm a little shy on the headphones. Can you untangle that guy and get it? Maybe
you sure is that it?
More. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Wait a minute. Is that?
I think it's that guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of weird. How it okay? Just move it over. Is it okay?
That works.
That works. Okay. Let's see here, Rob. We have an email that comes in. What's the difference between your company and other more independent mortgage brokers?
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Nam, we have here. Are there any tax advantages to investing in your fund, i.e., keep it?
Yeah. I'm gonna say, come in October and find out.
That's okay. We can do that. Sure. All right. You guys have anything special?
There's that rent cap that's on Newsom's desk.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know the details of it, but I'd be curious. If you want to talk about that, we can certainly.
Okay. All right. Let's hit it. And away we go. Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Nam Fawn of Pacific Private Money and Rob Spinoza of Guaranteed Rate. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during this show. That certificate's not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tan Bella Tanning Salon with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. And in Rob's, we know Rob's intelligent, but we decided to have easy random trivia.
We don't know that.
No, we know that for a fact. All right. Let's see here. Nam, you were going to talk about Gavin Newsom. What's going on with him?
Gavin Newsom. Well, what's on Gavin Newsom's desk?
Oh, that's
making
more
its way to his
accurate.
desk
Yeah.
is
This is a family show. Keep it.
Okay. Oh, then I don't have any. Well, okay, the rated G version. Maybe this isn't rated G, but California lawmakers approved a statewide rent cap on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, covering millions of tenants, the biggest step yet in a surge of initiatives to address an affordable housing crunch nationwide.
Right.
So the bill limits annual rent increases to 5% after inflation and offers new barriers to eviction, providing a bit of housing security in a state with the nation's highest housing prices and a swelling homeless population.
But there's certain exceptions, right? I mean, if anything like built before 86 or something like that, that is exempt.
Built or leased.
What's that?
Built or leased before 86. I don't know. Why would they tie it to that?
Because if you have a long-term
tenant,
but
we see some of that. One of the interesting things, not to go off the topic too much, because I'm curious about the whole idea of this, but one of the interesting things that we see in our industry with that very fact is people going to qualify when they don't have long-term leases in effect, because most conventional mortgages require a 1-year lease. So sometimes you see people who've been longtime tenants, and they've been month to month for years and years.
Exactly,
they can't even locate the lease, let alone.
Right. Well, but a lot of landlords want month to month because it's easier to evict them.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Hence the other provision in that. Now, my thinking on all these is that while they may be well-meaning, there are always other shoes to drop with that. I don't know the details of that.
How about they just relax the building codes and bring down the costs of permits and all that stuff, so that it makes it more desirable to build.
That's just, this bill addresses affordability and limiting rent increases, but you have to have a multi-pronged approach, just like you're saying. Right. I mean, housing shortage in California is still significant.
Right.
So this is, like you're saying, it's well-meaning, but if there's less profit in it for people to build, then that's just going to exacerbate the housing crisis.
And also, we've talked about this before, but I'll repeat it again. Does that mean if I'm a landlord and I own apartments and I'm limited as to how much I can charge, do I get to go to PG&E and insurance companies and companies that fix my roof and say, no, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to increase your price more than 5% of what you charged me last year?
And that's kind of where I'm going with that whole thing. Is there's this comprehensive approach towards home ownership or housing in general, and if you have increasing prices and your rent doesn't keep up with that, now you've got, I would think, other impacts on the market itself. Now, your business, you guys deal with business purpose loans and investment property loans and things like that. So I would imagine.
Well, they also do owner occupied.
Owner occupied now, I know as well, but a big portion of probably what you do is investors who are going to be leasing out those properties, and that would presumably impact them.
Yeah. So how is this going to impede their ability to make a profit on projects?
Right. And you don't want people turning into slum landlords. Right. They say, well, I'm sorry, I can't fix the heater.
Yeah.
I'm not getting enough rent. I'm losing money on this every day.
So market forces should include adding more inventory to the undersupplied California.
I mean, what do you do if you have a situation where there's rent control and it's so bad that the landlord literally cannot make his mortgage payment anymore? Let's say interest rates go up and he had a fluctuating rate, right? What's he supposed to do? And if he walks away from that, the bank doesn't want that.
Yeah,
we do see a bit of that now too, because we've gotten more inquiries about non-owner occupied properties where you have you have an owner of a rental property and they have an adjustable rate mortgage, or they're looking to refinance a loan and they're considering their other options, and that's always the concern I hear from landlords is how do I lock in or fix in my mortgage costs, because I don't know what's going to happen going forward, and I can't leave my rental budget or my investment budget at the whim of the market should rates go up in the future.
And your answer is?
My answer at today's rates is if you can get it to work in a fixed, and most of them tend to approach it that way too. That's what they're aiming to do. Yeah, put it into a 30-year fixed rate if they can. If they plan on holding the property, of course.
Totally makes sense.
On the private lending side, we're seeing, and maybe we can touch on this in the next segment, but we're seeing more and more 30-year rental products for investors who want to go out and acquire and buy and hold. So I don't know, are you seeing that on the conventional side too?
Well, I mean, on conventional side, that's our go-to product on almost everything, right? So 30-year fixed, and depends on, we don't see a lot of non-owner occupied purchases or refinances that go into ARM loans for those reasons. I just think the average landlord wants to know exactly what they're going to be paying in their housing costs.
All right, guys, we're going to cut to our first commercial break, and here's our first easy trivia question. Of course, don't really know the answer to this because I was never a Boy Scout, but how many fingers does a Boy Scout extend in a salute? Right, so there's a Boy Scout salute, right?
It's not a one-finger one.
Exactly. It's not one finger. There you go. Okay. Call 888-912-1190. Be the first caller with the correct answer. You're going to win that tanning certificate, which is worth over $100. Question again is, how many fingers does a Boy Scout extend in a salute? All right, stay with us. The Best of Investing is going to be right back. Okay, that was. I was just going to say, I forgot to give you the times. Okay, that was 6:40. Next one is 8:50, 7:34, 8:48, and 5:10.
The other bill that was passed this week was the one for
good timing. We just took a break.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Wi-Fi is?
It's EQ. When you find the EQ, I think it's Boo Boo.
BOOBOO?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah. Let me see here. Let me just look it up.
Your Wi-Fi network is called Baywatch. Isn't that what you named
it? It's like EQSR or something like that. I don't know how they decided to do that. Boo Boo 2011.
Is that the password?
Yeah.
Okay, and is it?
It's an EQSR or something.
Okay.
And smile for the camera because you're on camera.
There it is. Okay.
So how many boyfriends do you have so far now that the school year is beginning?
None.
None?
Good answer.
So you already. Wait a minute, isn't it like you've been in for a week already?
Mhm.
You're getting out of here. I'm not talking to you about this.
Next question. So the gig economy, the ruling that these companies that they're considered employees and not 1099.
Oh,
I mean, I
Uber
think
Lyft?
it's worth talking about a little bit.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
great topic.
Good
Unintended consequences and
Then this, you know what, this comes down to lobbying, because this is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
age-old thing with real estate agents. They're all 1099, but they fit the description of a W-2 employee across the board.
But not really. I think they're completely independent. I'm a real estate agent. Hey, nobody tells me when I've got to come to work and what kind of stuff I do
Well,
on my own.
if you look at the ABC tests that they put
Yeah, that's go ahead.
through, then realtors fall into some of the categories. It wasn't as clean as like an Uber driver or Lyft. I mean, those guys.
That should be completely independent too. Uber
Well-
and Lyft.
No, because their job doesn't exist unless they're on the Uber clock.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. It's like So-
Oh, but that's like
they're not going ride sharing on their own without the Uber thing. They've
Right.
got to use that technology
Yeah.
to perform that service.
But but if I'm an independent contractor, like a real general contractor who's
Right.
completely independent,
Right.
I might have to use software that I can't get anywhere else except for one place.
Okay, fine, but I mean, you can still do your job without that software, right? I mean,
maybe not.
okay.
How about Microsoft? Are they my employer because I have a computer?
Let me phrase
Come on, Rob!
Yeah.
Stay with me.
Let's do this on air.
Yeah,
Let's do this on air.
we are on air. Oh, well, we're on this air. Yeah,
Interesting. I mean, obviously, if these were easy answers, we wouldn't be debating it. But,
but it's not even that. It's all comes down to this.
oh, that's what I'm saying. It's
This-
all about the lobbying. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
how strong is your lobby? NAR is really strong.
Absolutely.
Well, they were talking about getting rid of 1031, and someone came up with
1031 exchanges.
1031 exchanges. They came up with this like, listen, you're not just gonna like, oh, we'll get some money in the coffers, but look, it's going to affect the real estate agents, the title
Who
companies.
stepped in on that, though? Like, what industry?
I think NAR did,
NAR did? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
which
Yeah.
would make sense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look how much you're going to impact everybody. It's a trickle down.
Oh, in that case, I believe in trickle-down economics.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that though.
Okay.
Let's talk about this good
That's good.
conversation.
It is a good
Okay.
conversation.
Here we go. Well, welcome back to The Best of Investing. Edward Brown here along with Thom Fawn and Rob Spinoza. Here is our first trivia question. How many fingers does a Boy Scout extend in a salute?
I mean, my odds are pretty good on this, right? Because she got 5 fingers.
Yes.
I'm going to go with 3.
3. That is correct.
Okay.
Very good.
Good.
Yeah, we're also here. Hey, guys, going to make a quick mention here for the Urban Tavern, which is located in downtown San Francisco near Union Square. They have local food and beer scene with seasonal menus and more than a dozen Bay Area craft beers on tap. Check them out. And by the way, if you wear any kind of San Francisco gear, you know, the
Flowers in your hair?
No, not so
Oh,
much
okay.
that, but sports gear. You buy one, get one free on game day. Be it
Nice.
baseball,
Cool.
football, or basketball.
Okay.
Check them out at Urban Tavern, SF.com. Okay, so when we cut to break, we almost came to blows here on the radio. And I don't know. Are you a communist or something? Come on. No.
So
we're-
what started it? I'll tell you what
Yeah.
started it. Another news story this week. California passes landmark gig economy rights bill. So Assembly Bill 5, as it's known, will affect firms like Uber and Lyft, which are based in California and depend on those workers in the gig economy.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't know gig economy is like, it's a new term for people who do kind of side jobs. Originally, it was, it's a side
Like the
job.
president.
Music. I got a gig. I got a music gig. That's a
Right.
gig, right?
Millennials called it a side hustle.
Side hustle.
Side hustle.
So the gig economy is kind of new. I mean, it's giving people the ability to make money on the
Yeah.
side, working
Yep.
presumably part-time, but a lot of people, a lot of firms, tech firms in particular, have people working more than just part-time. It's
Okay,
full-
so
full-time.
going on to like Uber and Lyft, all right?
Yeah.
Now, in the old days, it used to be, if I'm independent where I can make my own hours,
Mhm.
choose when to work, who to work for, so to speak.
Right.
Let's say a typical attorney or CPA. That's probably
Correct.
a good example,
Yep.
right? If I don't want to work one day, I don't have to. No one's going to fire me,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
That to me fits Uber and Lyft. I
Get
don't have to work for them.
get a 1099 from your right?
Yeah.
From your quote unquote, not employer, but you get a 1099 for those you perform work for.
Sometimes not.
Well, but in the
Depends.
case of an Uber driver, you would be getting
Okay,
it, right?
if they're
If they're part of the gig economy, I
and,
believe that's how it works.
and what happens? Okay, now, so one of the weird things about these rules used to be also, gee, if you only work for one company,
Right,
that kind of fits
right.
you more into an employee.
Right.
But what if I drive for Uber
And
Lyft?
Lyft. Right. So, is the idea, Nam, that they are trying to say you are an employee, so therefore you have benefits, you have,
Right.
Okay.
Taxes really
Right.
comes what it towns to,
Okay,
because then
but-
the employer and the employee.
but
have to
because
pay.
if you're an independent contractor, now you're getting
The full
income,
amount.
and then you have to expense it, you have to pay taxes,
Right.
you have to do everything on your own
Yeah.
at your own
And
discretion.
you're not, so you're not covered by workers' comp,
Not- right,
okay.
right,
the labor board,
right.
and then
No retirement,
no
no 401ks.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and so quote, Big Brother. Let's put it that way. Big Brother wants everybody to be an employee. Everybody.
Well, everybody's paying into the system.
Right.
Yeah, and,
exactly.
and they get more payroll taxes, the
Right,
workers' comp, and yada yada yada, and then also if you're an employee now with the new tax law, you ain't gonna be able to write much off, if anything, versus if you're independent,
Well,
you might have
right,
certain expenses.
So this article goes on to say that should these gig workers be redefined or classified as
Employees.
W-2s, this could drive up costs for companies like Uber or Lyft or any
Of
of
course.
these gig
Which brings
by,
the cost
by
up to us.
30%.
I would think that would be at least that much. Because think about it for a minute. If
Yeah.
you're an employee, or excuse me, let's back it up for a minute.
If you're an
Right now-
independent contractor.
Okay, if you're
yeah.
an independent contractor, if I'm driving for Uber, if I understand it correctly, I'm not an Uber driver, but if I was, don't I pay for my own gas?
Yes, you
Yeah,
do,
okay.
but you expense that on you. When I see their tax returns, I see it on their Schedule C.
That's right.
Right.
But what happens if I'm an employee? I'm not going to be able to write that off now.
But is it a reimbursable expense?
Unreimbursed business, but you can't do those anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Pretty much. For
So
almost,
you
yeah.
lose that tax.
unless you're a service based, right? So if you're a
Well, no.
Because you're the taxpayer.
I know, but the
Yeah.
rules changed quite a bit. If you're an employee, I think they're getting rid of those.
But I
employee
think the
expenses.
point of our discussion is that all of these things are, again, what come into play when you start talking about this legislative changes.
Yeah.
Because now the gig economy is a real thing. Our economy, better or worse, is driven, no pun intended, by a
Mhm.
lot of these services. And if you change the law dramatically, the business models for all these companies and the way people operate, I think I read somewhere that Uber is the number one business expense in the nation.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Yeah, so not
You
meals-
mean me as a client of Uber?
yeah. So
Interesting.
when employees submit expense reports to their employer, Uber is the
Yeah.
number one thing.
No,
Wow.
you know what? I could see that. I mean, yeah, you'd still
Do
think
you
that
think-
there would be a lot of meals and entertainment.
Meals and hotels and things like
yeah,
that. But I mean,
yeah.
I read that somewhere. I mean, how it breaks down.
I'm sorry,
to-
you know what it could be? It could be because the employer, like, let's say I work for NOM, if he sends me to Vegas for
Right,
an appointment or something, he's paying for it.
Could be.
He's not having
Yeah,
me pay
right,
for
right,
reimbursed.
right.
But I wonder if it was the same expense before, but it was taxi.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and taxis are a little bit more expensive, or
Mm.
people using them more just because it's so easy to use.
Right.
It is.
Um,
I mean, I spent hundreds of dollars on
Yeah.
Uber when I took my daughter to Washington, D.C., because, I didn't know the area. We didn't want to drive. We just thought it'd be a lot easier. Hundreds.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we were going maybe 8 times a day. Go over here, go over here.
So I think-
it's so good.
I think that these things. So our industry has been directly impacted by this debate, and it happened years ago, mostly during the downturn, because traditionally a lot of guys who did what I did were independent contractors, and they loved it, right?
Mhm.
Because just for all the reasons you said, dry cleaning. Hey, I need that
Well,
suit, right?
no, that's
I'm not saying I did it. I'm saying they did it.
Well, yeah, but that's not deductible. I mean,
But people loved being independent contractors. But in our business, one of the things that prevents employers like mine, Guaranteed Rate, from allowing us to be independent contractors is that to originate an FHA insured loan, a government insured
Yeah.
loan, you have to be an employee of the bank.
Okay.
Okay, fair
so
enough.
now we're W-2'd, and it's been that way for a good period of time. But we've seen, as we've worked our way past the worst of the downturn, a lot of brokers are starting to call their employees, quote unquote employees, 1099 independent contractors again. Can't do a
Wow.
government loan.
Yeah,
But-
you know what that gets? I mean, there you're really knocking on the door of the IRS.
Hey.
Because being an employee and then being independent, and if things haven't changed, That's a red flag.
Okay, but the point is that this is all, when you look at this legislation, it's all at getting exactly what you described, Edward, getting more people to pay into the system, saying, hey, if these drivers of Uber are captive, if this is all they're doing, or if they're doing this enough of the time, they are employees.
Right.
And the business model doesn't support that.
It's all conjecture, and that's a 3-syllable word, and that's about all I know.
Well, so you're saying the businesses can't support that, so what happens? A lot of these drivers might be let go. Maybe there's just, the business can't support.
Okay,
No. But Uber, though,
But-
is
but-
just if you work, you get paid. So they don't have to let people
But
go
here,
per
but
se.
my point is this: that now you've got this legislation that is flying in the face of a service that is in demand.
Mhm.
So if
Yeah.
the legislation doesn't accommodate that, I mean, having this come to a logjam, loggerheads, it's not going to help anybody.
Right.
So you got to figure out a solution to make this work fairly.
And we will figure that out after the next
That's on the
segment.
next show.
That's on the next show. Okay, here's our second trivia question. Again, we're going to get easier with these guys here. What kind of animal is pictured on the wrapper of a Klondike bar? Yeah, I figured I have to give you one easy one there. All right, call 888-912-1190. Be the first caller with the correct answer. You win that tanning certificate for over $100. What kind of animal is pictured on the wrapper of a Klondike bar? All right, stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. We're going to be right back. All right, that was segment 2. Next one is 734.
Chloe, do you know what's on a Klondike bar?
What kind?
What kind of bear?
You want to answer that on the air?
Yeah, we should bring her in.
I'll answer for you.
Okay. You asked me about next week, and I text or emailed you back. 16th,
Oh, for
18th,
Chip?
or 19th.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
What's the 16th? 16th, 18th, or 19th? Oh,
Monday.
Thursday. Yeah. Or Thursday.
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday's out because I got planned with a party.
Great. So let's do Thursday.
Okay. And we can record at ppm if you want.
Awesome.
Alrighty. All right, what are we going to cover? Want to go to email time?
Sure.
All right. Here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Nom Font and Rob Spinoza. Second trivia question. What kind of animal is pictured on the wrapper of a Klondike bar? And Nom, you had to ask your 10-year-old daughter.
I phoned it in.
You phoned one in a friend. 11, sorry.
And the answer is a polar bear,
That
right?
is
Ah, nice job, Chloe. Good
Yeah,
job.
Good job, Clay. All right. Want to make a mention here also for the Hornblower Cruises. For a few hours of unbeatable San Francisco views and culinary experience, enjoy a multi-course meal, first-class service, and after-dinner dancing for an unforgettable night on the water. Check them out at hornblower.com. All right. We're going to go right to email time here because all this Uber
Yeah.
independent contractor stuff just boils my tushy. Okay. Nom, question comes in from a prospective investor, I guess, who's wondering about the fund that you guys put together. It says, are there any tax advantages to investing in your fund?
Oh, here we go with these taxes.
I know, taxes.
taxes. So first, even backing up a little bit, they're asking about the fund. What is the fund that we're talking about? It's the Pacific Private Money Fund, now in its going into its seventh year, where it's a mortgage debt fund made up of loans that we make throughout California. Currently, we have about 90 loans in the portfolio, about 51 million assets under management. It pays about 7.5% annualized return to investors. And it's because it's K1, they're members of an LLC, they're taxed as ordinary income. But there's been some tax changes in 2018 that allows certain types of investments for the investors to only have to pay a portion of the taxes. So in this case, they only have to report on 80%, and it's called the Qualified Business Income Deduction. Now,
So that's 80% of the ordinary income that comes over on the K1 form?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's with our fund, there's certain qualifications. There's a threshold. If you make above a certain dollar amount, then you can't write that
Okay.
off. But we're actually going to go into detail on it in October. We have several events coming up where we'll not only go into detail about it with respect to our fund, but we have a tax expert, tax attorney coming in, Steve Moskowitz. We're holding 3 events in October. Actually, I'll give you the dates now. Usually we talk about the events at the end of the segment or at the end of the show, but we're really excited about this. We have one on October 16th in San Rafael at the Embassy Suites. Rob, you'll get an invite. Hope you can
Oh,
make it.
wonderful.
October 23rd in Fremont at the Fremont Marriott, and then October 30th in Walnut Creek at the Walnut Creek Embassy Suites. Now, all of the events are from 7 to 9 p.m., and it's going to be really good information. Not only will we talk about tax advantages of investing in our fund, but just some of the tax advantages of investing in real estate. So
Okay.
a lot of our listeners have probably know of Steve Moskowitz. He's been in the Bay Area for, I think, 30 plus years or so, and he knows tax.
So now, so a typical investor, you stop me if I'm wrong, but a typically accredited investor, correct?
Yes.
Invest in your fund.
Mhm.
At the end of the year, they're going to get a K1 because they're quote unquote a partner, right? And they have a percentage interest based on their investment. And they're going to take that ordinary income and they're going to file it on their Schedule E as income. And then they are going to be able to, take 80% of that?
Report. Yeah, depending on their income threshold.
Okay,
Earnings.
got it.
And they're considered a member because it's an LLC
Right.
versus a partner.
Oh, I got
Just
it.
a
So
matter of
remember, okay,
semantics.
yeah, that's okay. Let's be
But,
precise. And so then this income comes over and it adds to their total income.
Basically,
Yeah.
so if they earned, let's say, make it simple, if they earned 8%,
Mhm.
then they only have to report 6.4%
Got it.
on the tax
Got it.
return,
Got
pay
it. Got it.
taxes on that.
Okay,
So
cool.
that adds, whatever tax bracket you're in, boost your income.
Yep.
Net income.
So yeah, that's something that we highlight, but I don't know if it resonates with a lot of people.
Well, that's
they
why
can actually do that.
That's why I bring it up. I mean, I think that as an alternative investment, getting the word out is critical, number one. But then two, I think, we see a lot of borrowers that have tax returns and they're starting to venture into that kind of stuff. Alternative investments, you see them, they have a K1. And what's very interesting about when most of our, ordinary borrowers have K1 is we'll say, hey, you filed a K1 in 2018, and they'll say, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? They got income from a fund or something
Exactly.
like that, and they don't think of it that way. They don't think of themselves as a member or a partner. They just, it's an investment.
Yep.
Gotcha. How do people get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of us online at 415.
Mhm.
That's our phone number at www.pacificprivatemoney.com, or they can call us at 415-883-2150. If anyone is interested in coming to the events, give us a call. They can go online, but just call us directly, 415-883-2150, and let us know which location and date that they would like to attend these seminars.
Very good.
Great.
Rob,
Yeah.
email comes in for you. It says, what is the difference between your company and other independent mortgage brokers?
Okay, so first off, I am residential mortgage, primary, secondary investment properties, 1 to 4 units. That's what we do. I'm with Guaranteed Rate. We are one of the largest independent mortgage banks in the country. So what I tell my clients, they ask that question frequently, and they'll say, are you a broker or are you a banker? What's your role? There really are only 3 channels to get a residential mortgage these days, even though there's a million companies doing it. You either go to a retail establishment, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo. You go to a broker. That's a person that has a lot of different lending options but doesn't have any of their own money to lend. They are placing your loan with an institution that will fund it. And then between those two are the independent mortgage banks. And the way we work is we have sources of funds from large banks, credit unions, investment firms, etc. But they have given us delegated authority to lend that money as a correspondent. So basically, we can on any given day look at a rate sheet and see various investors that would have the best pricing or fit your scenario best. And then we can fund the loan with their money. So you're dealing with us start to finish, and we're not relinquishing control of the file. So that's really how residential lending works these days. There is no inherently one better option than another. So some people think, hey, if I work with a broker, there's a middleman involved. Well, there's always a middleman involved. That middleman is called an originator, and that's the person you're working with to actually get the loan. But the source of funds for the originator can be any of the investment firms, banks, etc. So no inherently better one option. Do your research, but that's who I work for and how we do it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Last trivia question here is, what birds were traditionally used to detect dangerous gases in coal mines? All right, stay with us. The Best of Investing. I'll be right back. All right. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
Sophia needed me to get back to her.
So Rick works for you now.
Yeah.
All right.
Eric, right? Yeah, he mentioned that I think he chatted with you, or he said he spoke with you, said that he had made the move. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I don't know what the backstory is with him in Nasrallah, but I'm sure it's.
You know, we
He had complained to me a couple of times about pricing there, so I know that was driving him.
Yeah, I think that was one of them. I think they felt like they were priced out of the market.
Yeah. I see a real consolidation going on in your business.
So do I. Yeah, I see non-QM. Is really picking up a lot of.
We don't like. I see a lot of non-QM scenarios, but when I look at my book of business, but I look at my closed loan spreadsheets and all that, it's still a small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the scenarios feel like, well, they're coming at me from left, right, and center. The ones that close, like I'm like 5-1 QM to non-QM.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, and I get a lot of the non-QM stuff because realtors, realtors call me when they know it's not a deal for Wells or First Republic or whatever. They'll call me. Okay. So, but I still don't see a ton of it.
Are most of, with rates down, I guess most of it's refi right now, isn't it?
It's like it's probably 2/3 refi right now, but earlier in the year it was 2/3 purchase. So this year will probably shape up right down the middle, maybe a 60-40 refi.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you want to cover in this next segment?
You maybe, I don't know if we cut you off too soon. You were talking about that at the end of the day there might not be too much difference between the options, but I think there's some value in being a mortgage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I also make sure you give out your information.
Okay,
again.
cool.
Okay, here we go. Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Nam Phan and Rob Spinoza. Our last trivia question was, what birds were traditionally used to detect dangerous gases in coal mines?
Canaries.
Canaries, very good.
Police had a great song about that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I wonder, it's kind of funny, I'm thinking, how did they figure that out? And what, if the canary lived, I mean, there's something about a canary that can live more than...
No, it's just that, so they have a really fast respiration rate and really small lungs. So, even if, my wife has told me that birds, she used to be a vet, people would bring birds in that had, collapsed or fainted or sometimes died just by vacuuming in the room because it kicks up all the dust.
Oh,
and they're super sensitive to that. And so I'm sure that's how they figured out with canaries, just like dust or anything like that. And they just, so yeah.
It's not very nice for the canary.
No, bad time to be a canary, but.
I have a joke. So this canary and a penguin walk into a coal mine.
Oh, no.
Just kidding.
It's your job to police the show. When we start telling jokes,
I'm sorry. Because I did have one, too, where this guy was talking about, he goes, man, he was complaining about taxes. He goes, I love taxes. He goes, I visit there once a year. He goes, no, I mean dollars. He goes, yeah, is it dollars, Texas? Okay.
Oh, boy.
All right. So, Rob, we had to cut to a break, but Nom, you're going to ask him a question.
So you were saying that you're comparing the different options that bars have. But, what I found is oftentimes it's the person you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to deal with expertise. And, I mean, you kind of say that term and you're like, oh, expertise. But it really does. And one of the reasons why I enjoy working for an independent mortgage bank, there's two primary reasons. One is our pricing is really strong. So we're able to compete with the best across the board on a lot of the stuff that most people need. But beyond that, the the range of product that we have,
Right.
and our ability as originators, individuals, to learn that. Not everybody does, but it's something that I enjoy doing with a lot of the other programs that accommodate scenarios that may be a little more difficult. We were talking about self-employed individuals, independent
Right.
contractors, people who get income from K-1s, that kind of stuff. You know, you call a call center on that stuff and they might look at you like you're speaking Greek.
Right.
But we see a lot of that here in the Bay Area, and we're able to qualify it, and that makes a big difference. So you're absolutely right. Now.
Yeah. But when somebody's calling into a call center, sort of alluding to some of the big.
Yeah, well, you have to
banks.
remember that a
Yeah.
vast majority of the mortgages that get done in the country are conforming or government loans. What does that mean? It means that there's great uniformity in the guidelines. The loans will only go to X loan to value. The FICO score is only allowed to go to one level. The debt to income ratio can only go to one. So that's what most people see most of the time.
Yeah.
The Bay Area, California is a bit different than that, and we see a lot of scenarios that deviate from that straight and narrow path. And of course, jumbo lending is all individual investor guideline driven. In other words, the entity that's making that loan is controlling what they want.
Got it.
So that's where it really helps to have someone who knows that, hey, you won't fit the guidelines for Wells Fargo, but you will for Chase,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. And that's what we do as an independent.
Right. You call Wells, they're never going to tell you.
Well, you may find out late in the game that,
Right.
I mean, nothing against Wells, what they do,
Sure.
you know, what they do strongly, they do really strongly. But yes, if you go there and you're just not a good fit for them, you're not going to get a loan.
Yeah.
Good point.
So how do people get a hold of you?
I am at Guaranteed Rate, rate.com and my /Rob Spinoza. You can also find me on Yelp and Google.
Yelp and Google. And how are rates these days?
Rates are great. Rates are approaching the lows that we saw in 2013 and 2016.
Wow.
And so everybody that is in a conventional mortgage, unless they're, under 3.75%, under 4%, et cetera, should be at least revisiting their scenario and saying, would I benefit from getting into a refinance? If you have an ARM loan now, thinking about going into a fixed, if you have a 30-year, thinking about going into a 15, maybe it will work, maybe it won't, but take a look at it because rates are really favorable.
And one more question.
Sure.
So, whatever rate you're at, and obviously this is going to vary by your circumstances, but how much of a rate drop would make sense for you to even look at whether or not you should pursue a refi?
Yeah, it does vary. It varies wildly. So what I tell folks is that if you are, depends on the loan size. So let's say, for example, you have a loan that's $1.25 million.
Mm-hmm.
You might benefit from a 0.25% drop in interest rate.
Right.
But if you have a loan of $250,000, probably not,
Yeah.
because the cost you're going to incur to refinance wouldn't make the savings
Sure.
worthwhile.
Title insurance.
Yeah, title insurance, and just go. A lot of the smaller loans that we do now don't require an appraisal. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of jumbo loans here too. So we see our clients starting to get interested in this stuff if their rates are dropping by 0.25% or more. Believe it or not.
Wow.
It used to be the old adage was 2%, right? But
Yeah.
it's-
Right,
the rate spectrum is so compressed now. I mean,
Right.
everybody's at 3, 4, and 5% that's left, right?
Mhm.
If you're in a 7% loan, something's wrong, and we probably can't fix it.
Sure.
But if you're a typical borrower out there, we see a lot of, for example, 4.25% 30-year fixed rate loans that are now refinancing into 3.75.
Oh,
Very
okay.
common scenario, and it makes good sense for most of them. Payoff or the recoup on the investment is probably 2.5, 3 years.
Okay, that's
Mhm.
Rob Spinoza of Guaranteed Rate.
Yep.
Hey, Nam, do you have a deal of the week?
Yeah, we have a few deals of the week, and really, without getting too specific in a deal type, well, the first one is just a scenario that we've brought up before, where you have people who are looking to take the money that they have in California and park it in real estate in other states.
Oh,
So we have a gentleman who has a ton of equity in his home here in California, his primary residence, and wants to buy an investment property in Oregon.
Okay.
So he's taking out a second, and we don't lend out of state, but we can take the
Oh,
proceeds and
right.
use them towards the purchase in another state. And he's taking
So he's
advantage.
just going to make an all-cash purchase when he does it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
vacation rental or vacation
Right.
property, second home in Oregon. So just want to highlight the fact that we're seeing many of those where people are either buying second homes out of state or moving out of state altogether.
Yeah.
And we can do those loans. Typically, they're they're coming to us for a bridge loan.
Now, I was just going to say, you guys are really good about accessing the equity in a house
Mhm.
before it's sold and all that. You can cross-collateralize and things
Right.
of that nature. That's where it gets difficult in lending. One of the most common scenarios we see is what I call the buy before sell.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people really get stuck because they can't liquidate the equity they have in their existing real estate, but they want to get into the new one. And they're faced with this dilemma. Hey, do I have to move twice?
Yeah.
Sell first and
And there's no prepayment penalty with Pacific Private Money.
Right.
So, it costs a little more for the points, but,
yeah, but I mean, the alternative is having to take your chance on the market
Right.
and
Yeah.
move and
Move
put
twice.
storage
cost
or
of moving,
right.
there's cost of storage, cost of moving
Right.
twice, the
Yeah.
hassle of factor.
It's incredible. Lately, the real estate community is really picking up on that residential real estate. They're understanding that a bridge loan can really solve this problem and create inventory.
I
Right.
mean, what did they do in the past?
They
Well, I'll let you answer
No,
it
go
your
ahead.
way, and I'll tell you what I've seen is
Yeah.
that it depends on the market. And right now, we've been in such a strong seller's market for so long that buyers don't have the time to do contingent sales or do
Right.
other things like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
so they get stuck.
Yeah, exactly. There's that. They don't want to have to sell twice or move twice. And also they see that there's value and maybe the cost of a bridge loan, because it's high cost loan, can be offset by the fact that they now have time to move into the property, stage the one that they're
Stage it.
departing.
Or
and
just
reduce
the
some of
fact that
cost.
the properties go up, if they're going up in value just a little bit.
Yeah.
That also helps. Okay, guys, we're going to cut to our last break. Don't have a trivia question, but stay with us because you're listening to The Best of Investing. We're going to be right back.
Sorry about that. So was I banging my arm?
Well, what happens is,
Because I
you
totally didn't
your,
notice it.
I know, it wasn't your arm, it's your hand. So when you
Oh.
here, can you hit us?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was doing the sports show, Vern, he's animated like this, and I'm going. I bought a.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so I didn't mean to be like rude.
No, that's okay.
It's just,
All good.
because if you don't notice, you don't know. That's the other reason why we have people wear headphones. One is so that they know that when they're doing this.
Yeah.
The other reason is so they're doing this.
You know that the reason I'm in California is I was a musician when I was in my 20s, and I used to do a ton of studio recording.
Oh.
And once you are in a studio, you're in headphones the whole time, basically, and you just get so accustomed to doing everything that we would have to take our demo tapes. Back then, we would record to analog tape, and then we would mix down to digital tape, DAT.
Okay.
And then you take the DAT and you record it to a cassette and you put it in your car because you got so accustomed to listening in the studio with headphones and studio monitors, you couldn't really tell how it was going to sound when people listened to it. So you'd get the demo tape and you'd run out to your car and put it in, listen to it, see if it sounded right. It's funny.
You're old.
I'm pretty old.
You're still young compared to
Yeah.
the rest of us. But you're 40. You just turned 50.
I'm going to be 50 next year.
And you,
51.
you're the young man in the family.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we want to cover in our last 5-minute segment?
So I have some real estate stuff, but I also have this article about Aretha Franklin not cashing $1 million worth of checks. Did you guys see that?
No.
one? So it's
Okay,
kind of-
that'll be kind of fun. All right. You ready?
Okay.
Here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Nom Fawn and Rob Spinoza. We didn't have a trivia question, but Rob, you have an interesting article about Aretha Franklin.
I saw this a while back, and I didn't read it, but I thought, you know what? I'm coming into Best of Investing today. This is the kind of thing that we'd have a field day with. Aretha Franklin, when she passed away a year ago, was running around with almost $1 million of uncashed checks.
Why?
Running around like they were in her purse? Or something?
Yeah, she just didn't. So this article goes on to say that she had, one of them was from Carlin Music and Feel Good Films in the amount of almost $286K. And then the other one was $703,000 from Sound Exchange and the Screenwriters Guild. So royalties, presumably, right? On stuff that was used in movies.
And it was in her pocket?
Uncashed in her, and she died intestate as well.
Wow, which means without a will.
Without a will, yeah. So I don't know. What do you say about this?
I say,
fellow
whenever
investors.
anybody gives you a check, you cash it.
Yeah.
What more is there to say than that?
Whoa.
Wow.
So it's funny when you see these celebrity situations, because I think the other guy that died without a will was Prince. I don't know if
Oh, did
that's
he die
true or not,
without a
but
will?
it's like they have these properties, they have all these royalties coming in,
Mhm.
and they live unconventional lives. And it's like, what happens when they die, right? Everybody's equal.
Just goes in the casket with them.
But is that like a regular person dying with $100 uncashed check in their pocket? Like,
Well,
you know?
not a million compared to $100.
So I mean, most checks, right? There's a timeline on it, isn't there? So
6 or 9 months. But the thing is, you get them replaced. Doesn't mean that the person doesn't owe you the money anymore.
So the executor of a
Exactly.
will, or well, she never will, but the court
The
could do
court,
that?
yeah, we go back and say, hey, it shouldn't be a windfall for the company that wrote the
Owed it,
check,
yeah.
right? It belongs to her, which
Wow.
belongs to, yeah. That's
And that's kind of all I got, guys. I mean, other than that, it's just dry real estate stuff that I dug up over the course of the
we
last
don't want to
week.
get into that. No, it's like, Tom, again, you got some events coming up?
Yeah, so October, big month for events. So the first one is October 16th, which is a Wednesday. That will be in Santa Fe at the Embassy Suites. October 23rd, which is another Wednesday, will be in Fremont at the Fremont Marriott. The last one for October is the 30th at the Walnut Creek Embassy Suites. 7 to 9 p.m. Again, it's a joint event with Steve Moskowitz. We're going to be talking about not only the fund and some of the tax advantages of investing in the fund, but just some of the tax advantages or things people didn't know are possible from a tax standpoint. So Steve Moskowitz is going to cover a number of those.
Cool. So what do you guys do with the events? You do a presentation, then do Q&A?
Yeah, exactly. So come for hors d'oeuvres, meet and greet at the beginning, and then we jump to a presentation, and usually the last 30 or so minutes is Q&A.
That's
That's
great.
really good questions
In
come
fact,
out.
you, Mark, and I are going to be there.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you have a tax professional, and you guys just, between the four of you, you handle questions that potential investors.
That's it.
Yeah, that's great.
Steve will be available to answer questions, on the sly, so to
Yeah.
speak,
Yeah.
as well as, generic questions.
Yeah.
I know, and he told us this before. He says, yeah, a lot of times I go to these things and people, they don't want to ask questions in the generic one. They just come over to me on the side.
Side,
And,
yeah.
ask you a question about my own personal stuff.
Yeah. He's funny. He's entertaining. So I think people will really enjoy meeting him.
Well, I think that, with all this stuff, you go into a meeting like this, or certainly when people call me and they talk, really that's our value is providing insight and information. Yes, you have a line that you have to avoid crossing when you're giving advice
Sure.
to someone and stuff, and they have to respect that too. But certainly with these types of investments and things like that, the best thing you can do is get yourself in the right environment and ask questions.
All right,
Yeah.
guys, we're going to cut out for today. This was a fast one. Thoughts for the day. Nothing is impossible. The word itself, I'm possible, right?
Agreed.
The word itself says
Yes,
I'm possible. Yeah.
Yep.
You know who said that? Audrey Hepburn.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that part. Okay. And the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts.
I
thought
like
was
that
good.
one.
Isn't that a nice
Yeah.
one too? Okay. So with
Well,
that,
we are ending on a
on a nice note.
Positive.
After all that Uber stuff where we're driving ourselves crazy.
Going to blows.
That's right. Tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long. All right.
cool.
Well, that's
So
a
then-
clap. Well, that's a clap. All righty.
How much time do we have left on the
Oh, yeah.
video?
Thank you. Let's see here. We've got... where is she there? There she is. 8 minutes. Wow, even though we...
Oh, we keep rolling?
Well, yeah. So,
Like
so
riffing?
go ahead and tell your jokes. And
My favorite joke is the time traveler joke. It's we don't serve time travelers here. A time traveler walks into a bar.
That's funny. That's a good one.
He'll tell it again.
Yeah,
he will tell it again and again and again.
And forget who he told it to.
time traveler walks into a bar.
No, we don't serve time travelers here. A time traveler walks into a bar.
I did get it. I just was trying to make it funny, and that's funny enough why it is. That's your favorite of all the jokes in the world.
That's not my favorite of all the jokes, but it's easy to remember.
I'll screw it up though.
And now I'll say the second part first, the first part second, and then it won't be the same.
a time traveler walks into a bar.
Yeah.
We don't serve time travelers yesterday.
Yeah.
I hope I messed that up.
That's close. That's very close.
Oh,
So,
that's fancy. 4 USB little things there.
oh, this is just a connection down to my other one, so I gotta, because I only hate reaching down, you know. But I finally got my new computer, so at least it's faster. The other one was just redonkulous how slow it was. And hopefully I'll do this correctly with being able to send it to the station, which would be nice. Let's see here. Let's do that. I gotta send this. Let me do this because I gotta send this to all these guys. And, hey, next time, Rob, bring your guitar in.
He only saves that for LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, I'm working under the Prince philosophy that I'm playing just enough so people think I'm good, but not enough to prove it.
Did he say that?
The people used to say that about Prince. They said Prince is, as a guitarist, they said he plays just enough to make you think he's a genius, but not enough to prove it.
It's funny.
Why? Let me think about that. Did he, like everyone else was playing? Or why was
No, like he was a multi-instrumentalist, so like what he did on guitar, he was pretty flashy with, but like you were never sure, like, is he just like, is that just his thing and that's the extent of what he knows how to play? Or is he like really, you know, like
you know, 6 chords and that's it?
yeah, you know, he was definitely a talented musician. I've heard him play, you know, like piano and stuff like that, and
It's
he's
amazing.
yeah, I mean, he was a real deal.
Well, I remember when he first came out, I was out in the city and I'd see these posters and well, this guy's weird.
He's
looking.
Yeah, I mean, but you know,
But he's-
I think like there's a few guys out there, or that you know, that are naturally gifted musicians. I would say that he is one of them. Just
Okay.
based. The other guy who was supremely talented, I think, just naturally was Freddie Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just like you guys know what perfect pitch is. Perfect pitch is where you hear a note and you go, that's C sharp.
Oh,
you just
okay.
know what note it is. Most of us can't do that. A very, very small percentage of the population can. And if you have that gift, music just kind of opens up to you. It doesn't mean you're a great musician. It just means that you have. It's like people who are good at art. You know,
Yeah.
kids in school who
Kind
could
of
just draw.
natural.
Yeah. The rest of us have to like learn, like practice and learn. But if you're naturally gifted with music, you have an edge. And there's a few guys that like when I listen to popular music, I'm like, that guy probably had it. That guy, you know, was a guy like who learned rock and roll. Like Jimi Hendrix was probably naturally gifted.
Yeah.
You know, just because he had an innate musicality, but then he was also just an innovator.
Yeah.
But
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury definitely, I think, had it because you listen to his voice. His pitch is always spot on, and yet he's got all these complex things that came out of nowhere. You're like, you got to be pretty gifted. At
Yeah,
that stuff.
I have
You know.
so much appreciation for that, but just because I'm so musically uninclined.
Well, I mean, you know,
Did
if
you
you,
see the
if you
movie?
learn music,
No.
it's like
It was
anything
good.
else.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
very good.
you know, you have to practice.
Yeah.
You know, you can get good at it, but you have to practice.
So that's I have no. I couldn't tell you a note.
Well, yeah, most of us can. I mean, like even like when I was playing music all the time, every day, I had pretty good what they call relative pitch. So if you played one note and said that's A, and then you played another note, I go that's F sharp.
Ah, okay.
But if you didn't give me a reference tone, I couldn't tell you.
Ah,
You know, so it's just. And as you play music, you get better at hearing things.
Yeah.
I can play along with the radio. I can play by ear, but I don't have a natural gift for it. So, you know, but I taught myself to do that. It's like,
that's
Yeah.
that's impressive. So did you always play guitar?
yeah, but I took up guitar as a teenager.
Mhm.
Just wanted to be Eddie Van Halen and just
There you
started
go.
learning. You know,
That's sweet.
it's fun.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Cool. So what's up? Anything? We done, or another segment?
No, we're we are DUN done. I just have a couple more minutes on this bad boy here. Let's see.
Email, Hangout, send one more email. Trade 7, I think we're going to try to do next week.
So it could be the one that will be included in this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the 2 plus the one I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good.
So it'll have maybe a week from tomorrow, if not a week from Monday.
Okay, and I'm gross funding it, so we'll
Yeah.
figure that out as part of that. I know. And listen, whatever works, but we'll just. Did you look at the other stuff too? Did that make sense?
And I did look at it afterwards, but I need to marry the two spreadsheets. Yeah, we got to get a jump on that, get a handle on it, so that going forward, I'm
Can we
going to
start
have,
afresh?
yeah, I'm going to have Frank be involved more and more with that too. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
he's good with spreadsheets, good with numbers, and he's tracking loans while they're happening. So
Oh, okay.
just in general.
So do you guys get this stuff on the private money side?
What's that?
I'm beyond frustrated. To start requesting my wife's bank statements at this juncture is pure BS.
There you
They
go.
must really not want this loan.
Yeah, we love that.
This guy's been really cooperative, but he's kind of
Reaching his peak. We get that, although, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I know you get it because you're in the same
Where do
business
get
we
it
are.
From? Actually, we get it from a lot of referral sources. They're like, do you need what? I
you
thought this
just-
was hard money.
Yeah, right. I thought
Exactly.
I call you and you send the check.
Yeah. As long as you
Yeah,
heard
that's right. Yeah.
you heard a breath on the other end, you could do this thing. Yeah. So
You know what's
as far
funny
as-
with like all these guys that the response I want to send is like, who's the one getting the $1.5 million bucks?
Mhm.
Like who's the one that needs the money?
Yeah.
I mean, we're asking you for a bank statement. You are quote unquote asking us for $1.5 million.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
That's not unreasonable to ask for who's getting the money.
Right. I mean, so it's like, but you have to just.
I'm used to having control.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm just used to saying.
A lot of our
I just-
clients are like that.
I call, like Amazon. I call, and
Yeah, and then next day it's on my
next day it's
porch.
Yeah. All right, we're going to cut out.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.